Chapter 7. "Do you still believe me?" I said to Anna when I caught her in the hall the next day. She nodded silently. "Even though Father James thinks I'm insane?" "He doesn't think that. He just doesn't understand. He's thinking it's a demon trying to possess you, not a real, living demon." "I need you to help me." "How?" "I need oak and silver." "What? Why?" "It's what kills monsters." "This isn't a movie, Billy." "I know, but movies are based on real things. This stuff goes way back. All the best writers will tell you it's what folks used to do. If the monster's real, then at least some of the tales would have to be real too. I even read that they used to put oak stakes into corpses when they buried them, just in case." She looked at me incredulously. "What kind of oak do you need? Just a board?" "Something I can make a spear out of, or a stake." "What about one of those poles from the closet? The kind that you hang your clothes on?" I felt a surge of hope. "You're right. I can make a spear out of that. What about silver? Is there anything silver you could give me? I can pay you." "I have a silver crucifix my grandmother gave me." "I don't think I can use that as a weapon. What about silverware?" "Oh, yeah, that would be a lot easier. Wait, you have silverware, don't you?" I shook my head. My mom took away and hid every single knife in the house, even the butter knives, because she was afraid I would hurt myself with them. I could probably steal a butter knife, but... I know, stealing is wrong. Maybe you could ask to have one. Then you don't have to steal it. Unless my mom says no. What then? Well, then you steal it. She chuckled a little bit. It was good to see her smile. That afternoon, I was a little sad to see my mom pick me up rather than my dad. She was quiet as she took me to the funeral home. I could tell something was bothering her, but I was afraid to ask. She had a tendency to yell at me when she was mad at other people. I got to work on my homework right away when we arrived, doing my best to focus my thoughts on math, rather than the monster that lurked in the dark places of the funeral home. Eventually, the battle was lost, so instead, I tried to focus my mind on my plan to kill the creature. Its home was probably in the morgue. That's where it always was at or near. It was the loneliest place, and the darkest place. The right place for a monster. So how would I flush it out? How would I force it to face me? I realized that I need not goad it out, merely put myself in a position that it would come to me, then I could spring a trap. I began to make a few notes in the blank end pages of my math book, but paused when I couldn't help but overhear my mother on the phone. "I'd like to speak to Frank." "Last night, yes." At first I thought she was talking to her boyfriend. "Yes, detective? I have something unusual to report." My curiosity was piqued. I glanced over to see my mother at her desk, looking out a window. I slipped away from her office and went through the main rooms to where another phone was. Janine, the secretary, was apparently absent that day. A couple of people were working down the hall, setting up chairs, but didn't seem to care what I was doing. I sat down at the secretary's desk, picked up her phone, and turned on line 1, trying very hard to keep totally silent. "I'm sorry, are you serious?" said a male voice on the other side of the line. I presumed it was Frank. "I'm dead serious," my mom said. "Is that a joke?" I heard my mom growl in frustration. "No, I confirmed it last night. The cadaver was definitely restitched. I know my own handiwork." "Why aren't you talking to Dr. Horace, the forensic pathologist? I thought you knew each other." "We do, but detective, he isn't a cop. This is a serious crime, and I don't know the how or the why. This deserves a serious investigation." "You're sure about this?" "Yes." "Why didn't you call last night when you confirmed it?" "Because I thought I had to be crazy. This is simply too strange to be true." "All right, I'll get on it right away." "And detective, we are going to need a judge's order to perform a second autopsy on a few of these bodies." "A few?" "Yes, I confirmed the restitching on another cadaver this morning." "Either myself or another detective will be over right away to take a statement and open a report. Don't leave, all right?" "Yes, of course." I waited for the phone to hang up on both sides before putting down the receiver and slipping back to where I was sitting before. I had scarcely opened my math book back up when my mom came over. "Listen, Billy, I need you to stay calm." I'm calm, I said. Some police are coming over right now. You are not in trouble. They need to investigate something else. You think Dad should come and get me? I said. I'll try calling him. My mom called my father, but couldn't get a hold of him. He wasn't at home or at his office, so I stayed put. About an hour later, 2 detectives showed up. One of them was Sal, the big, imposing man I had met when I got caught breaking in. He actually smiled at me when he came in. Staying out of trouble? Yeah, trying, I said. Good. It was really easy to eavesdrop what they were saying initially. I sat quietly in a chair outside my mom's office. So, where do we begin? Sal said. When did you notice the bodies had been tampered with? Yesterday, during embalming preparation. I happened to notice that the body was stitched up with black wire. I ran out of blue wire 2 days ago. The autopsy was performed here, said the other man, who I presumed to be Frank. Yes, private autopsy. It was a full pathological survey, which means the chest cavity was opened. Did you stitch it back up? Dr. Horace, the medical examiner, performed the autopsy, but yes, I stitched most of the body up as part of the embalming preparation. You are sure it was with blue wire? You sure you haven't forgotten which day you switched colors? I'm sure, but even if I wasn't, and I was definitely second-guessing myself, as this is extremely strange, I know that I didn't sew him up. You know? Yes. The color got my attention, but when I came back last night to confirm what was bothering me, I saw definite signs that I had not stitched it up. Somebody else went over the old stitches, almost duplicating what I did. A dead body doesn't have supple skin, you see. There would be indentations left from the initial resealing of the body. However, the tie-off for the stitches was affirmatively not mine. It was backward from what I do. Can I take a look? Sal said. Just a quick one, for the report. You'll have to take some precautions. I'm used to it. All right, but we'll need an order from a judge to alter the body now. Let me look first, Sal said. The truth is, there's no real procedure for this. The body hasn't been interred yet, so legally we're in some weird territory. Peter will know the case law to get it done, Frank said. I'm sure we're going to have to do a second autopsy, though. No way around it. On 2 bodies, yeah? Sal said. Right, my mom said. I slipped away before they could finish, so I wouldn't get caught. I didn't know what they said after that or what they said when they saw the body. Sal stopped and sat down by me on his way out. He still had a mask dangling from one ear. Sorry, Miss Hunter, but I have to, he said. He pulled out a small pocket notebook and a pen. I understand, my mother said. Billy Lassiter, where were you last night? At my father's house. All night. Did you go anywhere with him? Yes, all night. Didn't go out. 2 nights ago? He jotted something down. In my mom's house, all night. Sal looked at my mom. You or his father picked him up every day? Yes, my mom said. Sal looked at me. You were in class all day, correct? I felt sweat gather at my temples. Sort of. Sal gave me an odd look. Something you want to tell me? No, I said. I thought quickly of a way to avoid a lie. I can leave class and go to the office if I'm too tired. So, I didn't go to all my classes. Sal smiled at me. All right. Sorry, Billy. I have to at least check out recent suspects. I get it. So, what happened? Sal smiled at me. You can ask your mom, and maybe she'll tell you when we're gone. But I don't want it spread around, all right? Let's keep it quiet. All right. I stayed awake all night crafting a weapon. I used the pole from my closet. It was big and sturdy, and it was apparently made of oak. I snuck down to the garage and swiped some tools, a chisel, that my mom figured wasn't really usable as a weapon, and a few bastard files. I stuffed a t-shirt at the bottom of my door in case my mom saw the light, and I got to work on the pole, which was about 6 feet long. I used the chisel to carve out a point, and then filed it all the way around so it was relatively smooth. I had the idea to test it, so I set up some old clothes on an old pillow. I thrust it into the pillow with what I thought was about 80% of my strength, and was disappointed to see that it barely affected my old clothes. All it made was a small hole, less than the size of a penny. I decided that the point was too blunt, and the ramp to it was too shallow. I got the chisel out and made the hole cut longer, increasing the depth of the angle up to the tip, which became absolutely vicious with the help of the file. When I tested this spear, which looked much more like a spear now, it easily slid deep into the pillow through the old clothes. What I now had was effectively a wooden stake with a 6-foot reach. I wish there was some way I could make one with a silver spearhead, but the know-how of such a thing was beyond me. I figured if I could get a silver butter knife from Anna, I could file it into something proper for killing. I saw the sun rising and didn't feel tired at all. I felt instead a restless energy. Anna slipped me a silver butter knife at lunch. "Did you have to steal it?" I said. "No, she gave it to me. Didn't even ask why." "Thank you." "What do you plan to do with it?" "I'm going to sharpen it up, make it into something that could kill Fisker." Anna looked distressed. "You're going to kill him?" "He's flesh and blood. I've drawn blood before, I think. I could kill him." "Do you know if silver will work on him?" "Nope, but I figured why not." She sat down next to me. "You plan this out?" "Sort of. I haven't figured out how I'm going to get there. He's at the funeral home, but..." I didn't know what I should say to Anna, so I shrugged. "You don't have a car," she said. "John could drive you. I can get him to help." "That, too, but there's more. The police are investigating the home. Investigating him, I think." "Then you don't have to kill him." "No, they aren't going to find him. They don't believe... They won't even consider that it's a possibility, so they'll never figure it out. I have to be the one." "What exactly are they looking for then?" Anna said, interrupting me. I was hesitant to tell her, but looking at her staring at me behind those glasses, I felt like she would figure it out anyway. "Someone's been opening up the dead and stitching them back together." "What?" she said. "Yeah, it's weird. My mom only just noticed because she changed the color of the wire she was using to stitch them up." "Your mom stitches them up?" She gave me an odd look, like I really was crazy. "She's a mortician," I said. "She sometimes gets bodies from the medical examiner, or helps the medical examiner do private autopsies. We have a special room for it at the home. They cut open the body and look at the organs, trying to figure out how the person died. Then they stitch him back up. I guess she found something wrong with some of the bodies that were opened. Who knows how long it's been going on, but it has to be Fisker. The way you and Mikey describe him, he's like a ghost or demon. Not the kind of thing to be careful with corpses." I shrugged. Either way, the police are paying attention to the place, trying to figure out what's going on. I'm going to need to get in, too, but that shouldn't be too hard. I got that part figured out. "I don't think you should try it." "Thanks, but I have to do this. You'll know, too, whether I'm seeing something real or I'm just insane." My mom picked me up from school and took me to the funeral home. On the way, I dared to ask her a few things. "So what's up with the police?" "Nothing you need to concern yourself with, Billy. Sal said you could tell me." "No, he said he couldn't stop me from telling you. Big difference." "What happened? Was there something else done to a body, like before? A bite taken out?" She glanced angrily at me. "That wasn't a bite before. That was someone trying to tear up a body for their own amusement." She practically growled at herself. "Thousands I spent on that alarm system, and it's worthless." "Sorry, Mom. I just paid for more sensors, too." "So it was something to do with the morgue." "Don't worry about it, Billy. It's nothing to get yourself worked up over. Just relax, okay?" We went to the home because Sal and Frank had to come by. When we got to the door, my mother realized she didn't have her door key. "I swear I just put it on there this morning," she said. "I must have popped it off on accident. I'm always doing things like this." She didn't know that I had been the one to take it off. It sat in my pocket, where it would remain until I placed it strategically in the house for my mom to find. I watched as she retrieved her secret key from a different, new false rock and opened the door. I also watched carefully as she put in her security code. She was upset and in a rush, talking to herself under her breath and not covering her hands. I quickly memorized the sequence. Sal and Frank arrived a few minutes later. They brought the medical examiner with them, who was already wearing scrubs. I watched and listened carefully from the desk. "This is unprecedented," the medical examiner, Dr. Horace, said. "We already talked to the DA and the judge. It's still all right we use the facilities here?" "Yes," my mother said. They all went down to the morgue and adjoining rooms, carrying a stack of smocks, leaving me by myself in the office. I pushed back against my fear of the cold room in the basement and went down the stairs after they entered. I slid up to the door and listened carefully. I could barely hear them. I dared to open the door a crack and saw the lights in the examination room. As silently as I could manage, I went through the doors and slid up to the other metal door where their voices became much easier to understand. "There we go. Now let's take a look inside. He's been here a while, eh?" It was the voice of the doctor. "We had to postpone the funeral due to immediate lack of funds, then this," my mother said. They chatted quietly for a few minutes, but it was too hard to make out the words, until I heard the medical examiner say loudly, "What the hell am I looking at?" "It's half eaten," Sal said. "Nonsense," the medical examiner said. "Ain't decomposition. Look at how clean the separation is. This heart was eaten." The medical examiner was silent for a long time. "You're right, Sal. These are the marks of hands and tools." "No, sir. I take it you don't spend much time out of the city. This is what a deer carcass looks like when a coyote has been at it." "My God." "The fingerprints were strange as well. Too long," Frank said. "The pads were too long, but the prints weren't smeared. They were sharp." "Yeah?" Sal said. There was silence. "Perhaps your suspect has acromegaly then," the medical examiner said.
"Acro what?"
"Acromegaly," the medical examiner repeated. "An excess of growth hormone in an adult. Causes enlarged hands and feet, along with some other things, like a bigger jaw. It's fairly rare."
"Growth hormone, eh?" Sal said. "So we've got a giant cannibal on the loose?"
"Not usually giant. It's usually a disease of middle age."
"Well, that might make things easier once we find the guy."
"How is he getting in is my question," my mom said.
"We're working on that," Frank said. "I might suggest a new security company."
"I already switched." I crept away, back up to the lobby. They were definitely seeing the evidence of Danny Fisker. I reasoned that if he ate, even dead bodies, he was flesh and blood. I could kill him. I felt hope growing.